I'm from Detroit, born and raised. I am one of 6 very crazy children. I'm the 4th of, it's 3 boys and 3 girls. I have 3 brothers and I'm the 3rd sister. And I live in New York and New Jersey now. It's kind of the same thing. I moved to New York after I graduated from University of Michigan, go Blue, when I was 22 years old. So I live and work in Big Cakes here now. This is a funny story because the guy that I was living with in New York in his apartment in Harlem couldn't stand me. We all had separate leases. It was 3 of us, and he had the cable in his name. He didn't like me for like a really ridiculous reason. But anyway, I couldn't get any cable on my television except for like the Food Network. So I would watch the Food Network all the time, and I started like cooking when I would go home for my family and my friends when I would go back to Michigan, and I really liked it. So I wanted to be a chef, but I knew from working as a bartender and working in restaurants that I could not stand and did not want to be a classic culinary chef working in a kitchen because people are not nice to you. So, and it's hot and you like burn and cut yourself and all that stuff. So I was like, oh, I'll be a pastry chef. But then I'm like, but I know that I don't like the redundancy of doing the same thing over and over again like a pastry chef does. So I was like, oh, cake decorating. So I started like trying to be a cake decorator, and I decided that, yeah, that was my career and I was gonna go with it, and I loved it and it turned out well. So that was that. Okay, that's easy because I definitely Michelle Bomarito. She is the most amazing, my mentor in life as a cake decorator. She's actually the first person that I interned with, and the way that I ended up interning with her is I saw her on the Food Network. She was doing a Food Network cake challenge, and I was like, oh, this chick is pretty good. Like, she lives in Michigan, from Detroit. She went to the University of Michigan like I did. I'm like, let me check her out. I was kind of just like trolling, trying to see what she was talking about. And then I'm like, I kind of want to work for her. So I was living in New York at the time, and I decided that I was gonna like be working for her. So I emailed her, and surprisingly she emailed me back, and she was like, well, you know, you kind of gotta live here. So I was like, all right, done. Quit my job, moved to Michigan. Again, no money, no job, no house. Moved to Michigan and stalked her life until she let me work for her. And she told me later the only reason why she let me work for her is because I was so persistent about it. But I, you know, was very much like bottom of the rung, but learned so much. Sweetest lady, very talented. She teaches classes. She kind of is in the same arena now that I'm in, and I caught her in her last wedding season, so it was amazing. And then I kind of went on from there to do my own thing, but she's definitely the person I look up to the most. My most favorite cake, that is kind of a tough question because I have so many cakes that I really love. But I would say my most favorite cake was actually a recent one from a tutorial that we have. It's the antique baby shower tutorial cake. And I love that one because I made it, first of all, for my best friend Portia and her little baby Steele, who is so amazing. And it was the kind of like a baby shower gift to her in a way. And I love it because I used it, I did it using the candy melting technique, which is something new for me, but something that I love, and it turned out so well, so elegant. People enjoyed it, got a lot of like positive feedback, and it was just something close and special to me. So those 2 elements together made it my favorite cake to date. My energy and my love and passion for the cake industry and for teaching cakes, I mean, it literally really just comes from this. It's what I feel like I'm supposed to do in life, and I have a passion for it. But also, I interact with so many people on my social media accounts who are cake decorators, who are starting out very similar to the way I started out. And these people are hungry, they want to learn, they're passionate, and I feel like, you know, I've been there and I've been through the process, and there's so much that I have to give and teach, and I'm just a person who likes to help and likes to show people the way, you know what I mean? So I get a lot of energy from the people that I interact with. Like, I put myself out there in a way that I feel is genuine and authentic, and really give my best advice and my best help to people. And the feedback that I get from them like really drives me. It makes me know that what I'm doing is making a difference in a way that's awesome, because it's what I love to do. Yeah, definitely. And this is something that is funny because I fought it for a long time. Like I didn't want it to be my style, but it's very cartoony. Like everything I make, no matter like, you know, some people make cakes and it's like, they'll make something and it looks very realistic and you're like, oh, you look at that and you're like, damn, that's whatever it is, you know, like I can't believe that's cake. You know, you think it's like the actual item. I don't have that ability. And I like really want to have that ability, but after a while I decided to just go with what my strong point was, which was sculpting cakes and modeling items, but they have a very cartoony look as opposed to like a very like, you know, realistic look. I'm still striving for the realistic though. My biggest strength, like I said, is definitely sculpting. I am a kick butt sculptor. I want to say something else, but I'm not going to. I'm a very good sculptor. So like I could look at a cake item. Recently I did a football helmet, so we have a tutorial for that too. But I did a football helmet, and like when I was thinking of like how I'm gonna sculpt this football helmet, like I literally sculpted it from half sheet cake stacked on top of each other. So it was like it didn't have a round shape whatsoever. And as it was coming together, I'm like, oh, this is actually going to really look like a football helmet. Like at first I was like, there's no way, I don't know how I'm gonna sculpt this, like how I'm gonna get this rounded, boom, boom, whatever. But that is definitely my strong point, is sculpting cakes and making, you know, small intricate items that look like, say you wanted to have scissors, you know, I can make a really good scissor out of like fondant or gum paste. My used to be weakness, no longer my weakness anymore, because of this is not a plug, but it is a plug, but it's not, the candy melting technique. I used to suck at wedding cakes. Like I do wedding cakes and I do them okay, but every time I would try to stack them, like something would always end up being like lopsided, leaning, like settling and bulging and all this kind of different crap that like goes along with a wedding cake, and I could never really figure out how to do that, probably because I can't stand measuring anything. So like when it came to measuring dowels and getting like everything centered, it was just so tedious, and I would never like take the time I needed really to do it well. So now that I started doing the candy melting technique, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter if your cake settles, it kind of doesn't matter if your dowels are in the proper way, because the candy melts encase the tiers and they're even themselves. I mean, don't get me wrong, you have to dowel it, but it makes the wedding cake, or it makes a tiered cake, stand up so nice and tall no matter what. So it's amazing. So now, used to be my weak point, no longer my weak point. Well, I've always said, like I've had a really big idea. Like my idea for where I want this to go is ginormous, like more than I would ever have imagined. And I always love this thing where they say, you know, if your dreams don't scare you, then you know it's the wrong dream. You're not dreaming big enough. I don't know who said that, but it's an important thing. So my thing is like, I want to be like the Tyler Perry of cake decorating tutorials. I want it to be like a full encompassing, you know, experience, and I want people to learn, and I want to bring all the best, you know, interesting, fun, quirky cake decorators from everywhere to come and shoot tutorials. And I want for our people to interact, and I want to have like our own production company, production studio. You know, we have this magazine, the Cake Art Collective, that's coming out, so I want, you know, the contributors, and I want this really to be like a fun experience, a learning experience, but in a way that speaks to this generation of young cake decorators coming up who are, you know, mohawks and tattoos and not your conventional like cake decorator. And just do it in a way that serves that market, but do it so that it's, you know, it's everything all in one. Creative cake art. It's all the things you need. Number 4 of 6 children. Don't laugh at me. Okay, let's just try again. I watched the Food Network like retardedly. Like, I just watched it all the time. I shouldn't say retarded, huh? Maybe not. Okay, let's start that story again.